Okay, we are live. Welcome to the Mom and Baby Nutrition Support Group with Gardner. I'm Alex. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian and a certified lactation consultant. And I know there's some new members here in the group this week, so I just wanted to start by saying welcome. Every week we go live right here inside the Facebook group to talk about different things that I get a lot of questions on. And one thing I get questions on is what really is the difference between store-bought and homemade baby food? Should I worry about store-bought baby food? Am I a bad mom if I feed my baby home or store-bought baby food? Okay, well, first of all, let me stop and say, no matter what you choose to feed your little ones, you are not a bad mom, okay? Store-bought baby food is there because what happened was around the 1920s when women started really going into the workforce and not being full-time moms as much, commercial baby food really started to boom because the caretakers, women, were out of the household. And because of that, commercial baby food was born. And let's talk a little bit about what those pros and cons are. So when we talk about homemade baby food, what are some of those cons? Well, one, it can take time. Well, it depends. You can feed your baby what you eat with some modifications, and really it doesn't take much more time. Or you can make some quick homemade baby food, like mash up some avocados or mash up some beans and things like that. It doesn't take a lot of time. But some people, it does take a lot of time, and they way prep in advance and they buy those really expensive baby food makers and things like that. So it can be quick. It can be time consuming. It just kind of depends on the method that you use. But it's definitely going to be more time consuming than popping open a jar of store-bought baby food. So take it as you will. Another con of homemade baby food is the fact that you can't store it long-term like a can of store-bought baby food. So if you make it at home and you make it fresh, that needs to be used within a few days, just like something you would eat. Now, if you can your own food, which honestly, not a lot of us know how to can anymore. I'm talking to myself here. I think I did a canning class in college, but I don't really can. So unless you can often and you can your own baby food, it's not going to store. I mean, you can freeze it, but then again, it only lasts about 6 months in the freezer. And then when I say safety is a con of homemade baby food, what I'm talking about in terms of safety is you can have cross-contamination. It can get spoiled more easily because it's not pasteurized and it's not sealed properly. So for example, if you didn't can it properly, it could get bacteria in there. So that's what I mean by safety issues for a con of homemade baby food. Now, you know your kitchen, you know your cooking skills. You know, if you don't cross-contaminate and you can it appropriately or you use it within 3 days, then it's going to be perfectly safe. Now, what about the cons of store-bought baby food? Well, one, we can't control what goes in store-bought baby food. You have to buy what's on the shelf. So if there's only a few options on the shelf, there's only a few options on the shelf. It's also astronomically more expensive to buy canned baby food than it is to make it yourself. But with that, you also get the convenience. So it's kind of a trade-off. Some people say a con of store-bought baby food is the excessive packaging. If you are more environmentally conscious, that could be a contributing factor to you. And then I have in asterisks here, contaminants. Now, let me stop here and talk a little bit about the contaminants. So in the news over the past few years, there were some scares about arsenic in baby food or cyanide in baby food or these heavy metals that were found in baby food from the store. Now, that's not necessarily from the manufacturing. What can happen is this can also happen if you make your own baby food at home. Heavy metals can be found in specific foods. If you buy organic, it's less likely, but what it comes from is the soil. So what was happening is if you buy foods that were farmed in soil that had higher levels of heavy metals in the soil, well, it gets absorbed into the plant and is eaten through the plant, through us. So it's not necessarily that it was because it was store-bought. It's because that's the produce that was used to make that baby food. So if you had used that same produce to make your own baby food, it would have had the same contaminants in it. So that's just something to think about. It's not necessarily that store-bought baby food is higher in contaminants. That's just the soil that specific vegetable or fruit was grown in. So I want to be careful there. I don't want to spread any misinformation saying that, oh, because you buy store-bought baby food, your baby has a higher risk of heavy metal contaminants. That's not the case. So that's why I put it with an asterisk, because that's a misconception of a lot of times. Now, let's talk a little bit about the pros. So what is the pros of having homemade baby food? Well, the pro is you know exactly what's in it. Now, with store-bought baby food, there's going to be an ingredient list, but you have total control over what you put in your baby food. So, for example, I made an enchilada stew tonight. It's got black beans, onions, corn, enchilada sauce, tomatoes, and I put a little sour cream and cheese in there. Now, it's stewy, so it's easy textures. If I was feeding an older infant, like 10 or 11 months, I would just give them that meal without having to worry about the textures, because they're very small pieces of food, so it's fine for them. But if I was feeding a smaller infant and I wanted to puree it, what I could do is I could get one of those immersion blenders, which I love. I love my immersion blenders. Great if you have baby food and you're making small batches of stuff. I would take that, I would put what the family is eating, which is the enchilada stew. I would put a little bit in a bowl, and I would stick that immersion blender down in there and blend it up so it's more pureed. And I would have baby have that. So it's the same exact meal that we're having. It's just a modified texture. So you know exactly what is in it. You can make the texture whatever you want. And what's beneficial about this is baby is eating the same flavors, the same food that the rest of the family is eating. So have you ever wondered why some babies can tolerate really, really spicy food? Like, for example, when I did my malnutrition internship in India, those toddlers were eating food that was so spicy, I could not handle it. But that's because that's what their mama ate when they were pregnant and when they were breastfeeding. And when they were small, they had the same food that their mama was having. And so they got used to those flavors. And so it's totally okay if we feed baby what our family is eating. Now, they might not like super spicy, but they can have the same flavors as us. And you just modify that texture. Another pro with that is it's super cheap. So in this instance, the time would be, there would be no time constraint for me, because all I was doing was modifying the food that I was already eating for dinner. But let's take a look over at store-bought baby food. What are the pros of that? Well, one, we said time. Again, it depends with homemade. It can be time consuming or it can be not time consuming at all. But with store-bought baby food, it's usually time is very quick. All you have to do is pop open a jar. You can also easily take baby store-bought baby food with you. So it's easy to pop an unopened jar of baby food in the diaper bag and take it with you. It's a little more difficult to jar up your own baby food, make sure there's an ice pack in there, all the things to make sure that there's food safety and all of that, and travel with you. But it's still possible. It's just a little more time consuming. The storage of store-bought baby food is typically a pro, because when you're thinking about how long it can stay in the cupboard or things like that, that's going to last longer because it's a shelf-stable item. It's been canned appropriately. It's been pasteurized and done all that. Whereas if you make your own baby food, unless you're canning it yourself, it's not going to last that long. There's also the safety of store-bought baby food. Now, when I say safety here, I mean you're not, or you're less likely to have cross-contamination with store-bought baby food than if you were making it at home. So as long as you are practicing good kitchen hygiene and cooking hygiene, and you don't have the cross-contamination, the safety of homemade baby food is just fine. But that's also a pro of store-bought, is you don't necessarily have to worry about foodborne illness from it storing it in the pantry or things like that, as long as the can hasn't been opened or tampered with. So these are some of the pros and the cons of each. Now that's the difference. Really, there isn't a major difference between store-bought and homemade besides these things. There's not like a glaring, like, you have to do this and you have to do that. This is very personal. It goes on what each mom is comfortable with. If you are a busy mom and you've got 4 kids and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off because there's 4 kids pulling you in 4 different directions, and you just need store-bought baby food, that's fine. If you're a mama that is adamant on making homemade baby food, that's fine. We don't mom shame around here. Everybody has unique life situations, and I'm putting this information out here for you so that you can make an informed decision on what's best for you and your baby. Both options are safe. Both options are great. Both options are going to feed your little ones. So if you have any questions, if you're watching live, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the chat. If you're watching recorded, go ahead and drop the questions in the comment section. I'll be able to answer any of those questions that you have, or reach out to me personally and ask those questions. I'd be happy to get back with you. And of course, let me go ahead and stop sharing here. Any topics that we have not covered in the group that you would like to know more information about, or you'd like to see a live training on, let me know, because I'm always making a list of topics that mamas are interested in and would love to find more information about. I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a happy end of your year, mamas. Next time we see each other, it'll be 2023. Bye.